Hey, welcome back. It's me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and I have to ask you something. Do you ever really look at the medicine you're about to take? I mean, really look at it. You've got a headache, you're feeling a bit feverish, you grab that bottle from the shelf, you pop the cap, and you shake a couple of pills into your hand. It's a ritual, right? A tiny act of trust we perform without a second thought. We trust that what's inside that bottle is exactly what the label says it is. We trust that it will help us, not hurt us. But what if that trust was broken, suddenly and horrifically, not by a mistake, but by a deliberate, malicious act? What if the simple act of taking a painkiller became an act of Russian roulette? That's exactly what happened in the autumn of 1982 in the suburbs of Chicago. This is the story of the Tylenol Murders, a case that never truly found its killer, but forever changed the way America shops. This is Underworld Kings, the rise and fall. Let's set the scene. September 1982. The digital clock is ticking toward a new, interconnected age, but in many ways, America still feels open, accessible. You could walk into any store, pick a product right off the shelf, and buy it. Security was an afterthought. And then, on the morning of September 29th, in the quiet suburb of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, a 12-year-old girl named Mary Kellerman told her parents she had a sore throat and a runny nose. Her dad gave her one extra-strength Tylenol capsule. By noon, she was dead. That same morning, just a few miles away, a 27-year-old postal worker named Adam Janis died suddenly, inexplicably, at his home. Grieving family members gathered at his house later that day. His brother, Stanley, and his brother's wife, Teresa, were stricken with headaches, overwhelmed by the shock and the grief. Someone, trying to be helpful, saw a bottle of Tylenol on Adam's kitchen counter. They opened it. Stanley and Teresa each took a capsule. Within hours, they were both dead, too. 3 people from one family, gone in a single day. Panic, confusion, and sheer terror began to seep into the Chicago area. But it wasn't over. Over the next 2 days, 3 more people would die in nearby suburbs: Mary McFarland, Paula Prince, and Mary Reiner. All young, seemingly healthy. All dead shortly after taking extra-strength Tylenol. The only link, the only common thread, was that little red and white bottle. The investigation that followed was a frantic, all-hands-on-deck scramble. The county medical examiner, a meticulous man named Thomas Kim, performed the autopsies. He detected a strange, almond-like odor in the victim's blood. The toxicology reports confirmed the unthinkable: potassium cyanide, a massive, lethal dose. This wasn't a manufacturing error. This was sabotage. Someone had gone into stores, bought bottles of Tylenol, opened them, laced the capsules with a deadly poison, resealed them, and placed them back on the shelves, waiting. It was a predator hunting not a specific person, but the entire public. The randomness was the point. The anonymity was the weapon. Police and FBI agents fanned out across Chicago, pulling Tylenol from shelves. They found more. In total, they discovered 5 tampered-with bottles, containing a total of 13 cyanide-laced capsules. The killer had struck at multiple stores, a ghost moving through the aisles of everyday life. Now, the response to this crisis is where the story takes a pivotal turn, one that fascinates me as an engineer and an entrepreneur. The company behind Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson, faced a catastrophe of unimaginable scale. Their trusted brand, built over decades, was now literally killing people. They could have lawyered up, gone silent, pointed fingers, minimized the blame. But they didn't. Under the leadership of CEO James Burke, they did something radical for the time. They told the truth. Immediately, they launched a nationwide warning, telling people not to use any Tylenol product. They didn't wait for the FDA or the government to force their hand. They initiated a total, unprecedented recall, 31 million bottles, at a cost of over $100 million. They stopped all production and advertising. They opened their doors to the media, being as transparent as they could in the middle of a nightmare. They put public safety above profit, unequivocally. It was a staggering business decision, and in many ways, it became the textbook case for corporate crisis management. But think about what that moment felt like for the public. The company was doing the right thing, yes, but the very act of that massive recall confirmed everyone's deepest fear: nowhere was safe. The trust was shattered. And this is where the story gets personal for me. even though I was just a baby in Bangladesh when this happened. When I first read about the Tylenol murders, years later, what struck me wasn't just the crime, but the profound cultural shift it triggered. I moved to New York City, a place of incredible energy but also a certain anonymity, much like Chicago in '82. And I realized that the physical world I was navigating had been designed, in part, by the fear this event created. Because after the initial panic subsided, a new, permanent anxiety settled in. How could we ever feel safe buying over-the-counter medicine again? The answer came in the form of something we now take completely for granted: tamper-evident packaging. Within weeks of the murders, Johnson & Johnson, in a desperate bid to save their brand and restore trust, relaunched Tylenol with 3 new safety seals: a glued box, a plastic seal over the bottle cap, and a foil seal over the mouth of the bottle. You had to break barriers to get to the product. Congress swiftly passed the Federal Anti-Tampering Act, making product tampering a federal crime. And the entire industry followed suit. Almost overnight, the landscape of every pharmacy and grocery store aisle in America changed. That ritual of trust now had a new step. You checked the seal. You looked for that telltale pop or crack before you opened anything. The age of innocence for consumer products was over. We had entered the age of security. The haunting core of this case, of course, is that the underworld king behind it was never found. Despite a massive investigation, countless suspects, and even a confession from a man named James Lewis, who was convicted for extortion for sending a letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding money to stop the killings, no one was ever charged with the murders. The case remains open, cold, and utterly chilling. The killer, whether acting alone or not, achieved a kind of dark, terrible immortality. They vanished, leaving behind only panic, grief, and a legacy of fear woven into the fabric of daily life. So what do we take from this? As a storyteller, I'm drawn to the unresolved mystery. As an engineer, I'm fascinated by the problem solving, the rapid innovation in packaging that was a direct response to pure evil. But as someone living in this world, I think the lesson is about trust in complex systems. We live in a society built on a million tiny trusts. We trust that the food we buy is safe, that the bridges we cross are sound, that the medicine we take is pure. The Tylenol murders were a violent attack on that very idea. And while the system responded with new laws and new packaging, with physical barriers, the real healing was slower. It required a company to choose people over PR. It required investigators to pursue a ghost with relentless, if futile, determination. And it required all of us, as a society, to accept a new layer of vigilance in our lives. We learned that our safety is not a given. It's a collective project, constantly being tested and reinforced. So next time you open a bottle, any bottle, and you hear that crack of the seal, remember that sound isn't just plastic breaking. It's an echo from the autumn of 1982, a small, mechanical promise made in the shadow of a terrible crime. A promise that someone, somewhere, tried to build a wall between us and the chaos. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share this episode with someone else. Tell them to join us. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this has been Underworld Kings, The Rise and Fall, a production of Light Not Studios. You can find more stories like this and learn about the other podcasts we create by visiting Light Not Studios at https://www.lightnotstudios.com. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.